Hello, everybody. This is The Gods Must Be Crazy, Part 2. Now, the reason why I chose the title, The Gods Must Be Crazy, is because I have a picture in my head of this potential or hypothetical war that we see in the book of Revelations. You know, we see a war break out between the devil and his angels and God and his angels, or the people of God who come from the seed of woman. Now, when we're thinking about this sort of picture, how I see it playing out on earth is that you have a lot of earthly authority who basically tries to accuse and condemn people. Now, this is not a sort of fatherly correction. This is a sort of bitter hitting the rock because they're frustrated about life. It has nothing to do with love. It has to do with a kind of ambition for their own ministries. It has a kind of ambition for their own lives to gain something or to get ahead by accusing somebody else. So this is what we're seeing. So if we think of all of us being together in one big giant spiritual world or giant soup of kinds, we can see all these people who are claiming to be Christians. We're all up in heaven. We're all before the throne of God. We're all judging. We're judging what's right and wrong. We're judging each other. We're judging through righteous judgments, or we're judging through our own bitter ambition, which is the power of the accuser and the devil. So I see this as all these so-and-so saints. They all believe that they're Christians. They all believe in Jesus. They all believe in God on some level, in some manner. And they're together and they're judging, and they are making judgments about the things that they're seeing and the things they're going around. And they're saying, look, according to what I believe, this person is a sinner because of this, this, or that, or they need this or that punishment because they need to learn to stop. They need to learn to be a better person. They need to be a little bit of a better wife. They need to be a little bit of a better husband. So we see this, that this saint who is up in heaven in the throne of God, that they're basically saying to God, hey, this person is a sinner. This person needs to be fixed. This person needs to be beaten. This person needs to be taught a lesson. This person needs to be humbled. This person is just a big mess, and you have to fix them, God. And so, to me, in my personal opinion, that is standing before the throne of God and accusation and judgment. Then you have the saints. So if we look at Revelations 12, we see the woman and her seed versus the devil and his angels. And they overcome these sort of accusations and the workers of iniquity and these demonic sort of people through the power of their testimony and through the blood of Jesus. And what does that mean? The blood of Jesus means, God, I hear that this person is not the best husband that they should be, but God, forgive them. Give them time. Give them patience. Help them to grow, God. But Lord, love them and bless them right where they're at, because I know that you love them and accept them right where they are. It can be, yes, that person hit me. They beat me. They thought that there was something wrong with me. They hurt my feelings. They stomped on me. But Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Bless them. Bless their jobs. Bless their work. Bless them. And that person is able to either receive the gospel or not. But we see this battle going on, until eventually Michael and his angels, which are the seed of the woman, overcome basically the devil and his demons. And those are all of the Christians who are basically calling themselves Christians but are operating in a spirit of condemnation and accusation. So this is very, 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 very serious. Very serious. And I worry very, very much that there are so many people who are really sincere as Christians but they are so busy condemning and not realizing that the whole foundation of Jesus Christ and being a Christian is forgiveness and people receiving something that they don't deserve, which is something good even if they're not perfect. So if you're not operating in that, you're operating in something other than Christianity. No matter what you think you believe, no matter whatever you are manifesting, if you are constantly hitting the people around you, if you're constantly finding fault, if you're constantly accusing them, if you are running away from them or holding grudges against them, this is not the true gospel. The true gospel is forgiveness. The whole basis is reconciliation with God and with man and with ourselves. So this is very, very worrisome for me because I see a very angry and a very bitter church. And I'm very worried about basically the whole church falling dead in the wilderness. So anyway, why, once again, I go right back to the title. Why would I call this title The Gods Must Be Crazy? Because as we see these people who are up in heaven, they're slightly higher than what you would say is happening basically at an earthly level. They have somehow climbed to the very throne of God. So in some ways you could say that these are special people. These are God's ministers. They are God's people. They are the people who have sincerely tried to minister to others. And they are up in heaven. And so we on earth, when we go into a church and when we are in the church, we are affected by the judgments of these very special people. We are being influenced by the people in authority who are basically making judgments. And if they are making judgments that are based in satanic condemnation and accusation, they can sweep us up with them, and we can end up falling right into tow with them. But we can also hear from the pulpit the true judgments, which is kindness and love and grace and mercy. And those are the things that as we're listening, we can think like, well, this is crazy, because I'm hearing on one level that this is a sin and we have to stone them and they're just ungrateful and it's condemnation, condemnation, condemnation. But I'm hearing on this level, well, faith, and that there is now no condemnation in Jesus Christ, and you are forgiven by the blood of Jesus, and so on and so forth. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a headache. My mind is going to break, because what is it? Are we forgiven, or are we going to have to suffer the consequences for the rest of our lives? Are we a person who's just going to constantly get the crap beaten out of us by an angry God, or are we actually really forgiven? And so I think many of us, when we go into pulpits or churches and we're listening behind a pulpit or listening to somebody who is preaching, we're constantly getting all these weird double messages. And one of the reasons why it's so important to be your message is because hopefully you're as consistent as you possibly can, which means that one day you're not saying, well, if some sickness or some evil comes, hellfire and judgment is yours because there must be some hidden sin in your life that you have to get it right with. Or we don't really know, but we know that we are forgiven by the blood of Jesus Christ. So there is now no condemnation in Jesus Christ. Therefore, so on and so forth and everything else like that. So which one is it? And are you having double standards where you can judge one person with hellfire and damnation, but a little nicer stuff with yourself, or what? Where does that come from? So it can be a very mind-boggling thing for the intelligent and for the thinkers out there. It can really be a sort of a mind-jarring experience to be in a church sometimes, because you can hear all kinds of messages, and it can change depending on who it's towards and what gender, and if it's your family member or if it's somebody else's family member, or all these other different kinds of things. So we really have to judge properly and righteously And we have to be very careful that if we're making judgments, it is righteous judgments. Because if it is not, we will definitely be hurled out of heaven with Satan and his angels. It is a heavy, heavy responsibility to be a son. It is a heavy responsibility to be a minister. It is an incredibly heavy thing to be a Moses. It is a very heavy thing to be anything that is influential in God's kingdom. It is not to be taken lightly. It is a huge responsibility, and people need to understand that.